For 40 years, she's made us laugh. As young men, and even old men, she's made us feel things. Hell, I'm sure over the years she's probably made some of you ladies feel a thing or two. In her early years, she introduced us to the best of the worst in horror. Late in her career, when she showed up on our televisions hawking something cold to drink, you might say it was the original thirst trap. But beyond that, it meant one thing. It was Halloween. That's right, I'm talking about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and this week we open on a solemn note, as we've learned that the titular horror hostess is dying. I'm Mike, and I'm the All Hallows Geek, and this is This Week in Eek. Welcome to This Week in Eek, my weekly series where I put a little eek in your week by recapping some of the top stories in Halloween and horror news from the last week. This week's top story is an unfortunate one. We've learned that Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, is dying. The news came on the heels of the announcement that Elvira's alter ego, Cassandra Peterson, has joined the cast of Rob Zombie's The Munsters. But unfortunately, that news has been overshadowed by the tragic news that as of June, the Mistress of the Dark will be no more. In fact, a star-studded wake is already in the works. Now grab your tissues, dry your eyes. Don't let that eyeliner run too much because there's some good news in all of this. It's only a comic book. That's right, this week Dynamite and Elvira announced The Death of Elvira, a 40-page special release comic book where the Mistress of the Dark will meet her demise. Part of her ongoing 40th anniversary celebration, this new comic finds the Mistress of the Dark trying to solve the biggest mystery she's ever faced: her own murder. Film directors, actors, stalkers, and more turn out to the horror icon's wake and share their favorite memories in flashback form, and one of them is the killer. And it's up to you and Elvira, albeit from the grave, to figure out who. This special comic event is being released in June and is being funded, like many of Elvira's recent comic book projects, via crowdfunding. Like past campaigns, fans and collectors have various perks to choose from, including 6 different covers, signed copies, trading card add-ons, and more. Pledges can be made through Indiegogo and start at just $20, with the book expected to ship in June. For more information and to get to the Indiegogo campaign, be sure to check out my full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com. Alright, I had you going for a minute there, so let me switch things up with some good news. And did you realize that we're almost halfway to Halloween? That's right, the halfway point is just over a month away, and this week Shudder announced the return of its Halfway to Halloween programming event and the Halfway to Halloween hotline. That's right, next month, Shudder will debut all new original films, new seasons of original series, and an exclusive release, all in celebration of the halfway point to Halloween. On top of that, Shudder will be adding several new titles to its growing library, including the first 3 seasons of the Boulet Brothers' Dragula, 1992's Candyman, The Devils, and more. Not sure what to watch? Every Friday in April from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, members are invited to call Samuel Zimmerman, Shudder's VP of Programming, for customized horror viewing recommendations from Shudder's expansive collection. A new hotline phone number will be announced each Friday on Shudder's social media platforms, so make sure you give them a follow. And as in years past, call volumes are going to be high, so be patient, keep trying, and while there's no guarantee you'll get through, Sam is going to try and get through as many calls as he can within the hour. For more details and for premiere dates of all the new content coming to Shudder in April, be sure to check out my full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com. Alright, it's been a hot minute since we've had much in terms of video game news, but this week we got 2 pretty exciting announcements. First, Supermassive, the developers behind horror favorites like Until Dawn, Little Nightmares, and the Dark Pictures anthology, have announced their next release, and it's going to be one fans of teenage camp horror are going to love. Announced on Thursday, The Quarry is an all-new teen horror narrative game where your every choice, big or small, shapes your story and determines who lives to tell the tale. Set at a summer camp called Hockett's Quarry, you play as each of the 9 teenage camp counselors who on the last day of summer camp with no kids, no adults, and no rules set out to celebrate. But as the sun sets, things quickly take a turn for the worse. If the premise wasn't enough to sell you, the game features an all-star voice cast featuring iconic names in horror like David Arquette, Lance Henriksen, Lynn Shay, and Ted Raimi, to name a few. The game is set to drop on June 10th on PC as well as current and next-gen consoles and is available for pre-order now. For the full scoop along with the announcement trailer and details on some pre-order perks, be sure to check out the full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com. And next in gaming news, if you've been following me for a while, you might recall me sharing a game called Midnight Ghost Hunt, which made its debut back at E3 2019. The multiplayer hide-and-seek game where players play as ghosts or ghost hunters. Ghosts can possess and hide inside furniture and hurl themselves at invading hunters or set clever traps, while ghost hunters can rely on sophisticated gadgets and weapons to find and destroy the ghosts. But time is vital. The hunters must find and destroy all of the ghosts before the clock strikes midnight, because once it does, the tables are turned as the ghosts return as vengeful spirits and the hunters become the hunted. The game has been in development over the last few years, undergoing a number of closed alpha and beta tests, a few of which I was fortunate enough to be a part of. And this week, the game's developers announced that they're finally opening it up to more players, and this spring they'll be bringing the PC title to Steam Early Access. While an exact release date was not announced, Vaulted Sky Games did unveil some of the early access features that will be available, with highlights that include 4v4 hide-and-seek mode with matchmaking, 7 maps, over 40 skins, emotes, and taunts, voice chat integration, and more. As I said, I was fortunate enough to get in on some of the alpha action early on, and I had a lot of fun with that. And they've added a ton of content to the game since, so you're definitely going to want to check this one out. So be sure to add it to your Steam wishlist to be notified once it's available. Alright, one last story for the week. Late on Thursday, NECA announced it is releasing an accessory set for its Ultimate Frankenstein figure that was released last year. The new set is movie accurate, and its centerpiece is a massive laboratory table which measures over 9.5 inches long and over 6 inches wide and can hold the monster Ultimate figure. The set also includes an additional bandaged head sculpt for the monster and a torch accessory. One downside of the set is that it's colorized, so for those of us who have been collecting the black and white variants, it might not be as exciting as we'd hope, but we can always hope that a black and white variant may be made available in the future. The new set is available for pre-order now, and it is expected to begin shipping as early as August of this year. Alright, that's it for this week. I hope you're not too mad at me for that Elvira bit at the beginning. That said, as always, if you enjoyed this week's video, give it a like, leave me a comment, or better yet, subscribe to make sure you always get your weekly dose of Geek. For more information on any of this week's top stories, you'll find links to the full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com down in the description below. Until next time, keep it creepy.